Hello, everybody. This is Jimmy, and you're reading with Jimmy. We're reading the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. This is the Friar's Tale, translated by Theodore Morrison. Welcome, everybody. Let's get started. This tale has a prologue. Prologue is the beginning before the tale. Prologue to the Friar's Tale. Pardon me. This friar, this noble beggar, all the while, don't forget the narration is going on as an anonymous narrator telling us what he heard while he's with the pilgrims. And in this case, he's talking about the friar. This is the prologue. This friar, this noble beggar, that's the narrator, anonymous narrator talking. All the while glared at the summoner in a threatening style. But for the moment, out of courtesy, he had not spoken an incivility. At last, he broke his silence to the wife. "Madame," he said, "God give you a good life. You've touched here on hard points of disputation that give the schoolmen's with great agitation. You've spoken of many things, right well, I say. But, madame, as we ride along our way, we only need to carry on our game, leave questions of authority in God's name to schools and preachers of divinity. If it will entertain this company, I'm going to tell what the end of a summoner fell. By God, by the name itself, you know right well that no good of a summoner can be spoken." Sounds like they don't like each other, the summoner and the friar. "May no one present smell an evil token. A summoner is a bearer of vexation, running about with writs of fornication, who's beaten up at the edge of every town." Sir," our host said, "keep your anger down. Remember your position." You're a friar. "Be polite. In company we cannot have a fight. On with your tale and let the summoner be." "No," said the summoner. Let him say to me whatever he likes. For when it comes to my lot, by God, I'll pay him back to the last jot. I'll tell him what an honor it is to be a flattering friar, a beggar such as he, and also many another sort of crime I need not mention at present time. I'll teach him what his business is, I will. "No more of this," the host said. "Be still. On with your story, friar, my good master dear." And so he told the friar who spoke, as you shall hear. So now this is the friar's tale. The friar speaking. "In my part of the country recently lived an archdeacon of high family who boldly used the power of his station relentlessly to punish fornication, witchcraft, sorcery and bawdiness, blackmail and slander and unfaithfulness, and broken contracts, wills, testaments, church wardens careless about sacraments, and usury, and simony also. But chiefly lechers knew him to their woe." What's a lecher? Excessive or offensive sexual desire, lustfulness. You can look up these other words, or we'll do it in our analysis. So the friar continues. The archdeacon made them sing if they were brought to court. He stiffly chided those whose tills were short, the money that they were offering, should anyone betray them or complain. No pocketbook escaped him without pain. For thin tithes or a slender offering, he taught his people piteously to sing. Before the bishop caught them with his hook, their names were entered in the archdeacon's book, who by the fines within his justification had the power to keep their purses in constriction. He also had a summoner ready at his side, so the archdeacon was working with a summoner, as clever a tool as England could provide. For on the sly he kept a corps of spies, who well could teach him where to find a prize, and he let a lecher or two go safe and sound to learn where 20 others could be found. So the summoner's pretty clever. These scandals, though this summoner here became mad as a hare, I'll tell them all and some. They can't find us or threaten us with conviction. Over us friars they have no jurisdiction, and never shall they have their whole lives through. Quote, Peter, the women in the brothels, too, are put beyond our charge, the summoner cried. So this is an interruption. Keep still and go to the devil, our host replied. So this is dialogue within the friar's tale being interrupted. Bad luck go with you. Let him tell his tale. In other words, shut up and let the friar talk. No matter how the summoner may rail, speak up and spare nothing, sir. Go right ahead. See the little hyphen there? That means see that hyphen there? That's interruption. So this summoner, the friar said, had pimps, as ready as any falcon in the land, offered his lure to come right to his hand, and they found out secrets for him left and right. Their friendship had not sprung up overnight. They served as his informers on the sly, and great was the profit that he got thereby. Greater than the archdeacon ever guessed. Without a writ, this ignorant man oppressed and summoned upon pain of Christ's own curse innocents who were glad to fill his purse. So the summoner was basically kind of a crook, right? Or a tavern by him, sumptuous meals. He was like Judas, the sort of thief who steals, no matter how small is the treasury. And the archdeacon had but half of his loyalty. To give him his full praise, and not to skimp, he was a thief, a summoner, and a pimp. And he had wenches also in his retinue. And whether it was Sir Robert, or Sir Hugh, or Jack, or Rafe, any who paid a call and slept with them, they went and they told him all. The wench and he were perfectly agreed. He'd fetch a forged writ, fake writ, ready to his need, and summon them to the chapter, and then his plan was to dismiss the wench and skin the man. So he would use the ladies to bring people there and extort them. And then he would say, quote, for your sake, friend, I aim out of our black book here to scratch your name. You know, there's nothing more for you to worry about. You can count on me, friend, when I can help you out. Of course, he demanded money, for it would be past cunning to describe in 2 years all the ways of getting a bribe. No hunting dog in the whole world, far or near, can tell a stricken from the scathless deer, with nose infallible, as this summoners for lechers, paramours, and adulterers. And since his income all came from that source, he fixed his whole mind on it with full force. This summoner, always on the hunt for prey, was riding with a trumped up charge one day, to summon an old widow, a poor hag, hoping to add her small bribe to his swag. And through a woodland as he took his course, he saw before him a yeoman on a horse, who bore a bow and arrows bright and keen. Over his shoulders fell a coat of green. So he spots the yeoman as he's going to collect money from an old woman. The yeoman wore a black fringed hat upon his head. Well overtaken, sir, the summoner said. Well met to all good fellows, the yeoman replied. Where through this greenwood do you mean to ride? It's a long way that you have to go. The summoner promptly answered and said, No, I have a debt close to here to collect. Are you the bailiff? Yes, as you suspect. He didn't dare give his trade, tell him he was a real summoner, and say that he was a summoner for shame, so he pretends to be a bailiff. The yeoman says, Well, that's good luck, dear brother. So you are the bailiff, and I am another. I'm a bailiff. But as a stranger here, I may need your help and friendship if you are agreed. I've got gold and silver, Visit in our Friar, and you shall have it all, if you desire. Much thanks, the summoner said, and then they both clasped hands, one with the other, and they took an oath to be sworn brothers to their final day. And so they rode well pleased together on their way. So the summoner, who was as full of words, as full of cruelty, as these butchers' birds, and always prying, says, quote, "Brother, could you give," he said, "some notion of just where you live, in case I want to look you up someday?" The yeoman answered suavely, quote, "Far away in the north country is my dwelling, brother. I hope to see you there sometime or other. But before we part, I'll make the way so clear that you will not miss my house. You needn't fear." "And now, brother," said the summoner, "while we ride along the way, perhaps you will confide some of your tricks to me. Speak without sham. You see, I'm a bailiff, as I am. Tell me how best to work this trade that I'm in. And don't spare for conscience, nor for sin, but tell me how you do it as a brother." "As I'm an honest man," said the yeoman, "I'll tell you the true story of it all. You know, my wages of my work are only small. My master is a strict one, hard to please. The office that I hold gives little ease, and hence by extortion I contrive to live. In fact, I take whatever men will give. Somehow, by cunning or by violence from year to year, I win my maintenance. That's the story, if I'm not to lie." "The truth is," the summoner answered, "so do I. Before God, I'll take anything that's not either too heavy for me or too hot. Whatever I manage to take is on the sly. Give me no pricks of conscience. Nope, not I. I couldn't live except for my extortion. Shrift for the sin will never be my portion. I've got no remorse for such pranks as I've done. A curse on these confessors, every one. We are a pair, you and I, by God, two of the same. But, my dear brother, let me have your name." That we're well met," the summoner said, and meanwhile the yeoman had begun somewhat to smile. "You really want me," the yeoman said, "to tell?" "I am a fiend. My dwelling is in hell." Jimmy wrote, "Uh-oh. I ride about this country trafficking to find out who will give me anything. My gains are all ill-gotten, every cent. And see how you ride with the same intent to pick up profits that you don't scruple how. I do the same, for I would go right now to the world's limit in the hope of prey. So we're dealing with a fiend." "Bless me," said the summoner. What's that you say? I thought you were a yeoman." "What I see is certainly a man's shape, just like me." "Have you a form and figure where you dwell? Do you keep your shape down there in hell?" "No, as to that," the yeoman fiend said, "we are without body or form down there. But going about here on earth, we can put on a shape whatever we want, whether a man or an ape. The likeness of an angel I can wear, and it's no wonder, though you squint and stare, a lousy juggler can delude your sight, for heaven's sakes, and I, believe me, have a far greater sleight." "Why," said the summoner, "do you stalk your game in various forms and not always in the same?" "We try to fashion ourselves a shape that gives our prey the least chance of escape," said the fiend. "See the we? Who's we? Well, there's more than one devil." Well, what makes you toil so in and out of season?" the summoner asks. "Ah, my dear summoner, there's many a reason," answered the fiend, "but all things have their time. The hours are short, the morning is past prime, and still I have earned nothing for today. I've turned my thoughts to profit, if I may. We hardly need beyond this point compare our minds, for, brother, your wit is all too bare and easily to see through, as I could show. But since you ask me why we labor so, sometimes we are only tools who must fulfill God's purpose and execute his will upon his creatures, just as you may please, in various forms, by various agencies. Without him, certainly, we have no force. If he is pleased to stand athwart our course, at our request, we sometimes have to his leave only the flesh and not the soul to grieve. Job, for example. Now, Job is an allusion to the story of Job in the Bible, which we'll do in our analysis. Job, for example, whom we tortured so. Sometimes we're permitted to work woe on both, that is, the body and the soul. And sometimes we're suffered to control only the spirit and the vex that with unrest, not the body. And all is for the best, for if a man repels us in temptation, then that becomes a cause for his salvation, although we never intended thus to make him safe and secure, but rather meant to take him. Sometimes we act as servants, even to men. A fiend did this to St. Dunstan, or as when the apostles long ago made use of me. Dunstan was an English bishop, Benedictine monk. He was successfully abbot of Glastonbury, right? His work restored monastic life in England and reformed the English church. But tell me, said the summoner, honestly, please, all these new bodies in which you go into, are they physical like men's? And the fiend said, no, we feign them sometimes, fake them. And sometimes we arise in the bodies of the dead before the men's eyes, and we speak to them as reasonably and well, as the witch of old spoke to Samuel. Samuel is a reference to the Bible, Book of Samuel. Yet some men will maintain it wasn't he, that I have no use for you in divinity. One thing I warn you, though, that I'm not fooling. You'll see how we are formed. You'll have your schooling, where you shall find your every last concern answered in full. Don't worry about it. You're going to figure this out. You will not need to learn from me, for by your own experience, you'll qualify to lecture with more sense on all of these points than Virgil himself could do when he was living, or than Dante, too. Those are allusions. Now let's be cheerful. Come on, I'll keep you company, brother, and until you turn your back on me. Ah, never, the summoner said, though it turned out that you were Satan himself. For all about I am well known as a yeoman, and we both are now sworn brothers. I'm going to stand by my oath, and so let's take our trade. Take whatever men give, you your part, and I mine, and so we'll live. And either of us who has more than the other, let him be honest and share it with his brother. Agreed, the devil answered. See, now it's the devil. The fiend becomes Satan, becomes the devil. So we have the summoner in this story told by the friar talking to the devil. And so they rode on, and as they neared the entrance of the town to which the summoner meant to make his way, they came upon a wagon load of hay. The cart was stuck, and it was going so bad. The driver lashed and shouted as if mad, "You Scot! You badger! You hold back for stones? The devil with you!" he shouted. "Skin and bones, I mean it. Sure as you were ever fouled. The trouble I've had with you," he's talking to the horse, "it can't be told. The devil take the lot, horse, cart, and hay." So obviously the driver of the cart is ticked off, and he's yelling at the horse. The summoner thought, here's a good trick to play. He thought, here's a good trick to play. And innocently toward the fiend drew near and whispered, "Listen, brother, don't you hear that driver's words? Take it. He's giving you both the hay, the cart, everything, the 3 horses." "Not so," the devil said. "Not a bit. Trust me, he doesn't mean a word of it. Ask him yourself if you don't credit me. Or wait a minute or two and you'll see. So the summoner is trying to say, he's saying the devil with you, the devil take everything. And so the summoner goes to them and say, come on, there, he's giving you all this stuff. And the devil says, no, just wait a minute. The driver lashed his horses on the crup, and in the traces they began to stoop. Get, yelled the driver, pull, and Jesus bless you and his handiwork, greater and less. By God, that was the way to do it, boy. My cart's out of the mud now. By St. Laura. And that was well pulled. God save you. Good old Gray. He's talking to his horses, right? You hear that, said the fiend? What did I say? You ought to understand from this, dear brother, that the fool said one thing, but he really meant another. We might as well be on our way. It's clear that I won't pick up any booty here. So the devil made the decision that the man didn't really want to do the deal. When they were past the town, and the summoner said, a hag lives here who sacrificed her head to save a cent, who would sacrifice her head to save a cent, and almost as glad. But I'll have 12 pence, though it drives her mad, or else I'll summon her, and she'll pay my price. Extortion, right? She'll pay my price, though God knows I can't tax her with a vice. In other words, she's not a lecher, she's not any of those things that he goes after, but he's going to get money out of her. But since you can't support yourself, I see, in these parts, take a lesson here from me. So he's telling the devil, watch me, buddy. He knocked upon the woman's gate, quote, come out, old hag, he said. You have a priest, no doubt, or else a friar inside with you somewhere. What a knucklehead, huh? Bless me, the woman said. Who's knocking there? God save you. What do you want with me, good sir? I have a writ here, said the summoner. On penalty of Christ's curse, take care to be tomorrow morning at the archdeacon's knee to answer at his court for certain things. Well, now, Lord, she said, Christ Jesus, King of kings, so help me. But, good sir, I can't obey. I've been sick, and that for many a day. I can't walk so far, not even ride. But I'll be dead for the pain here in my side. May not I ask my accusers to prefer a charge in writing, good Sir Summoner, and answer by proxy? That could be, the summoner answered, but pay me now, and we'll see. 12 pence, and I can call it an acquittal. The profit that I make will be but little, and the profits go to my master, not to me. So pay up, and I'll ride on immediately. Give me 12 pence now. I cannot tarry. 12 pence? She cried. Well, now, sainted Lady Mary, keep me from tribulation and from sin. But though I had the world itself to win, there is no such sum as 12 pence in my hold. I don't have the money. You know right well that I'm a poor and old. Make known your charity through me, a wretch. If that's your tune, the summoner said, the foul fiend fetch my soul, if you get off with my consent. I put an arrow here. I want to read that again. If that's your tune, he says to the woman, the summoner says to the woman, the foul fiend fetch my soul, if you get off with my consent. Who's next to him, ladies and gentlemen? The devil. And he's now saying, if I let you off, I'm going to, my soul is the devil's. Alas, she said, God knows I'm innocent. Give me the 12 pence, or by sweet Saint Anne, I'm going to carry you away. Your brand new pan to meet the debt that you've owed since so long ago. You cuckolded your husband. Yeah, you know. And I myself paid out your compensation. You lie, the widow said. By my salvation, I have never yet, as a widow or as a wife, been summoned to your court all my life, nor by my body have I been untrue. I give the devil with his rough black hue your body, and with it he can have my pan. So now the woman is saying, no, I never did any of these things that you're saying. I give the devil, with his rough black hue, your body, and with it he can have my pan. So there's a deal there. She's saying, that's not true. I swear, I'll give the devil your body. And when in these terms he heard her curse the man, upon her knees the devil said to her, this is the devil now, don't forget, he's traveling with the summoner. Good Mother Mabel, does your heart concur in this? Is it your real wish with no lie? The devil take him sooner than he can die, and the pan and all, unless he'll repent. So she's really cursing the summoner. That, you old heifer, is far from my intent, the summoner said, and that's what I'll never do. I'll never repent for anything that I've had from you. I wish I had your smock and every rag. Now don't be angry, brother. Through this hag, your body and this pan are mine, by right, the devil said. You'll be in hell tonight, where you can study our secrets to infinity and learn more than a master of divinity. And with this, the devil seized him, body and soul, and he was borne off in this foul fiend's control. And they went into the heritage that the summoners find. And God, in his image, made mankind. Save us and guide us ever again, and help these summoners to become good men. Lords, said the friar, I could have filled your ear if given leisure by this summoner here, straight from the words of Christ and Paul and John, and of our other doctors, many a one, with tortures that would make your spirits wince. Although there is no tongue that can evince, not though I took 1,000 years to tell, the miseries of that cursed house of hell. But that we may escape that cursed place, watch ever, and pray Jesus in his grace, deliver us from the lion in the way, Satan, the tempter, who lies in wait to slay the innocent, and be ready to oppose the fiend who would enslave you, thus dispose your hearts. He cannot tempt you past your might, for Christ will be your champion and your knight, and pray that all these summoners repent before the devil takes them off hell-bent. Then when we read the summoner's tale together, the summoner's going to have a prologue, which I'll read when we read the summoner's tale. But the summoner in his stirrups rose tiptoe, sat up in his saddle. His heart was inflamed against the friar. Lords, he burst out. I'm not going to read all that. I only ask one thing. I beg for courtesy, since you have heard this lying friar. Give me the right to tell my tale. You see, it's a tale versus a tale, right? Like Miller and Reeve. You've been reading with Jimmy. This is Jimmy. Thank you for visiting. This was the Friar's Tale. What a wonderful tale, huh? It's a story about the devil. Jimmy used to love stories about the devil when he was a young man. Still does. They're very intriguing. Many good stories. In fact, I got to write myself a note. One of them we should read. Learn more about Chaucer. There's many videos about Chaucer. There's a whole collection of his tales here. There's other stories on my website as well. Lysistrata, Hamlet, all the classics. I want to thank you for visiting us. And remember, if you have questions, Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com. Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com. I hope to hear from you. I get a lot of email. I try to answer them all. Keep them coming. And be careful who you travel with. Not just who you travel with, but be careful what you do for a living. I'm just saying, you never know who you're traveling with. Take it easy.